got to make sure our broadcast is live, and then actually I'm gonna chit chat for a minute, make sure you guys can hear me okay, and then we're gonna go ahead and get started. And tonight I'm gonna kind of continue on from the subject that I was talking about last night, and that is how to use the blogging platform to get the results that you want in your business. Okay, and I'm gonna go through some higher level strategies today, and one of the reasons I'm going to do that is because I want you to be able to succeed and make money. Hold on, I just got a text message back. Okay, yep, we are live, and so let's get going. Now, what I want to do just for a second, hold on a second, let me make sure to adjust this. Let me make sure you guys can hear me okay. So I'm going to pull this page up here real quick. If you can hear me okay, and if you guys could just type in there, refresh the page to people so they know. Hold on a second, refresh the page. If you guys can hear me, if the sound quality is good, if you could let me know, that'd be great. And I'm just going to watch the comments here for a second as I'm doing that. Hey, everybody. Hey, welcome, Leanne. Good to have you on. Hello from Singapore. Good to talk to you guys. How's the sound quality, guys? Is it okay? I couldn't get my Bob Barker microphone working again. I just realized I don't have a sound input on my new Mac. All right, got it. All right, hear me fine, hear me good. All right, guys, this is going to be a little bit more interactive today, and I'm going to kind of give you guys some assignments as we're going through. And in just a minute, I'm actually going to take a break for about 2 minutes and allow you guys to go out there to follow some initial assignments. And what I'm going to do is I come back, I'm going to give an assignment to you. I'm going to come back, I'm going to give another assignment. I might take off for a couple of minutes if I come back. And all through the night, I'm going to be teaching, but also demonstrating the power of what we're doing and also how to use it in your business. And I'm going to be laying out a formula that really, if you understand, you can almost create money out of thin air once you really master the formula. Now, the key there is master the formula. You got to master the formula. You can't just buy the product and expect commissions to magically appear from nowhere in your business. You've got to actually go out there and you've got to master the formula in order to get the results that you want. You've got to master the formula that I'm going to teach you tonight. But if you master it and if you are willing to do it, the interesting thing is there is no real limitations on what's possible for you. You can really do whatever it is that you want. Obviously, look at our income disclosure, right? Because people enjoy seeing averages. And if you actually go to the bottom of the footer of every page on our site, we've got a little thing that says earnings disclosure. We actually update that live every 24 hours with current, real average earnings statistics from our entire affiliate database, okay? And so here's what I'm going to do, and this is where we're going to start. You know, yesterday, we talked about setting clear outcomes. And I'm going to pay attention as we're going through here to the comments that are popping up. So real quick, yeah, somebody said it sounds like the same video that yesterday night. If you guys could just write in the comments if it's the same video as last night, just please refresh the screen. Just refresh the screen, it'll be fine. Guys, here's what we're going to do. Yesterday we were talking about setting clear outcomes for your business, setting clear outcomes for what you're going to use the blogging platform for when you decide to buy, and setting clear expectations for yourself and your business and really what you're here to accomplish, really what you're here to achieve. And so just really quickly, what we're going to do is we're going to set an outcome for tonight. We're going to set a goal for what we're going to accomplish with this live stream. And to set that goal, I need some interaction. I need some feedback from you guys. And so what I want to do is I want you guys to write in the comments if you could learn one thing, okay? If you could learn one thing and master one skill that you believe would help you get the results that you want in your business, what is it that you're really here for? Okay, and I'm not going to answer all of them, obviously, because people are going to ask things, honestly, I don't even know the answer to. And the great thing about me is if I don't know the answer to a question, I just ain't going to answer it. What I want you to do, though, is I want you to write a clear outcome on what you want to achieve being on tonight's live stream and what you're really here to accomplish by deciding to pay attention and focus all of your energy on the sound of my voice until this live stream is completely finished. So if you could just go ahead and write in the comments now what you're here to accomplish, that'd be great. I'm actually going to go grab a cup of coffee here real quick, and I'm going to be right back in just a second, and then we're going to go on to the next step. So go ahead and write what you're here to achieve. If everybody says, hey, where's Jake? What the hell's going on? Just say, hey, you're supposed to write an outcome on what you're here to achieve in the comments below. Be right back in a second, guys. All right, folks, I am back. Hold on just one more second. I'm actually going to show you guys this office that I've got here. I know it sounds a little bit echoey in here. I don't have my good microphone system working yet. But this is actually my office that I've got that looks out over the city. You can't really see it right now, but this house that I'm in is pretty awesome. It's got 4 stories in it, which is hilarious for a person to live in. But actually, you can't see that either, but it looks out in the day. There's a swimming pool right out here, so I can actually, at any time I want, like jump over a fence from my office window right into a swimming pool. And then that looks over Escazú, which is it's kind of like the ritzy city in Costa Rica. This is where everything fun is to do in the city in Costa Rica is right here. It's about 40-minute drive from Jaco Beach, if you guys have ever been down to Jaco Beach. And it's like a 10-minute drive from the city of San Jose. So that's where we're doing the live stream from tonight, right? So you guys wrote some outcomes. Let me just take a look here at some of the things that are on here. And what we're going to do is start looking at a pattern. And then I'm going to, in addition to what I was planning on training, okay, hold on a second, rank on Google, consistency, and Power Network, right, figure out why we're master your money yet, figure out what my purpose is. Great blog. I'm just reading some things. Why are you here? If you're wondering what people are writing in the comments, what are you here to learn tonight? What are you here to master tonight? What is it that if you took it away from this live stream now that you can start getting results now, today in your business? Jeff, would master the art of communication. Okay, it's a really good one. I'd like to understand how to better market my blog, get people to my funnel. Clear intention. All right, capture and convert leads to sales. Would like to learn it better. 2 sales a day. Okay, good one. Converting 5 leads per day. I don't really know what you need by that. All right. Hey, good job, guys. Good job. All right, I'm going to do something else here, real quickly. And what I want to do is ask you to write something else in the comments, right? Just for some social proof here. Here's what I want to know. I want to know if you have made money by listening to what it is that I teach. In other words, if you've taken things that I've taught you to do, or things that people around me have taught you to do, things that the leaders in Power Network have taught you to do, you've made money. How much money have you made? And you know, how long have you been in? If you just write how much money you've made and how long you've been in. If you've made money here, that's what I'd like to know. You can go ahead and write that in the comments. And I'm going to go ahead here and just kind of look at this as we're going on. What I want to demonstrate is the reality that if you are willing, okay, if you're willing to take action and get started in your business and decide to focus your energy in a single direction and decide that you are going, no matter what, to accomplish a massive result in your business, and you're willing to take instruction and correct things along the way, that not only are people succeeding by doing these things, and not only are people getting results, but we have an extraordinary amount of people getting results that you're going to start seeing flying up in the comments, right? Which my comment stream is actually slow as snot because of the amount of comments we have coming in. We have like hundreds a second, right? What I like to demonstrate, guys, is a handful of things. Number one, what we're doing works. It just does. You know, I've been able to build a business from the comfort of my own home for the last 4 years by blogging and by building syndication networks and by building tribes of people who are all focused with their visions in a common direction. And by focusing people's energy in a single direction, we've been able to now create a team that's surpassed 200,000 people, okay, in all sorts of countries around the world. And it's literally just the start of what we're about to do. Right now, our blogging platform that we have, that, you know, when you click here to join now, when you click that button and fill out the form and you buy our blogging platform, you're actually going to be getting started in a business where you can market any products and services that you want and utilize the skills of a massive community of people to help you accomplish results in your business and your life. Okay, so we built a team of 200,000 people. Our company has now done over $70 million in sales all around the world. We pay right now. We pay something like 9,000 or 10,000 people a commission every single month. We have close to 1,000 people earning over $1,000 a month. And we're bringing in, on average, in Power Network, this is even before the launch, we're bringing in an average of 400 to 600 to 800 new blogging customers a day, right? Now, just to give you an idea, in our first year, we really averaged, if you look across the entire year, just over 100 customers a day. So we've now gone from starting, right, to about a year later, bringing in just over 100 customers a day, to now we're at, year 2 and going into year 3, and going into year 3, we're now averaging right around 500 customers a day. And our platform is still only in English. What's going to happen as we step forward into the future, as we decide to lock arms and to focus our vision in a single direction, as we decide to make Empower Network all that it can be, what's going to happen is that 500 customers a day, when we move into the Spanish language, is going to move into 1,500 to 2,000 customers a day. When we decide to split into multiple languages over the coming year, which is what we're doing, we're going to start doing events in Central America in Spanish. We're going to start doing events all through Europe in different languages. We're going to start doing events in Russian. We're going to start doing events in Spanish all through the United Kingdom. We're going to start doing events in Portuguese, in Brazil, and other countries around the world. And as we do events in these areas, and we start having leaders rise up in these areas speaking different languages around the world, Empower Network is going to blossom into a world-changing force. See, it starts with having a platform in order to be able to start getting results, but really where it's headed is it's headed towards a vision. It's headed towards a direction. And I can see a day, a lot of you have been to events, a lot of you are actually going out to Orlando this weekend. We've got regional events going on all month where we've had anywhere from 800 people to 1,400 people. I believe Orlando is going to be the largest. And in Orlando, when you guys go and you see the event there, it'll blow your mind what we've done. It'll blow your mind what you're going to learn in the room. It'll blow your mind what the leadership in this organization is going to share. It's going to blow your mind the success that we're having from the people who are in the room. It's going to blow your mind the transformation you're going to have on the inside. And the different thing about our events is that we don't open them up to people that are not customers. In fact, if you don't buy the blogging platform now by clicking that big orange button or the link below this video or whatever page you're on, if you don't click that link and just decide to get in, we actually won't even let you into our events. We'll keep you out, and security will escort you outside if you show up, because these are for customers only. Because our events are not there to sell products. Our events are not there to get you to buy. Our events are actually there to help our customers achieve a different level of result in their business. And so if you have a business and you want to be able to market it better, if you want to be able to create viral traffic, if you want to be able to create tribes of people to market through, if you want to learn how to be a real community builder and to do things that have never been done before, then get your butt to our events. And you can do that if you're an Empower Network customer. There's event ticket sales that go on the inside, right? So every 3 months we have these events going on. Well, what's going to happen is we've done regional events this cycle, and we're going to start splitting these events off to where we're going to start having them in multiple languages and countries with different leaders at the same time. For example, right now, obviously I can't be in 2 places at once. We had events going on this event cycle in Anaheim, California, in Dallas, Texas, in Washington, D.C., and now in Orlando, Florida. I did 2 of the events, and Dave Sharp is doing the other 2. Isn't it a neat thing to be able to build a team and an organization of people that get to be trained by other people? Isn't it a neat thing to be able to build a community where the influence and the leadership of those people that you're lifting up and those people that you're empowering to get their business to the next level, where those people can be trained and mentored and educated when you're not even in the room? Isn't it a cool thing to be able to build a business, to be able to build a customer base, to be able to build a vision, to be able to build an income where the sun never sets on your income? Isn't it a neat thing to be able to lock arms with people around you who are people with vision and people with spirit and people with heart, people that are willing to do whatever it takes to lift you up, to get you to the next level? And isn't it a neat thing to be able to look somebody in the eye and be confident and say, what you're deciding to buy now can change your life? And isn't it a cool thing to be able to align yourselves with not just one, but an army, a community of like-minded people that are visionaries and who honestly have your best intentions in mind? And here's why it's a neat thing, is because there's somebody watching this live stream now who's never heard my voice before and you're hearing it for the first time, and you're going to make a decision tonight that's going to change your life. There's somebody watching this live stream now who's been involved in Empower Network since the beginning, and you ain't really made it yet, but tonight you're going to make a shift on the inside, and from the shift you make from the inside, you're going to go and raise up armies. There's somebody watching this live stream now who lives in a country that I've never been to. I've never set my foot on the sand in the country. I've never seen the mountains in the country. And you're living in a country and you speak a language I don't speak. And you're going to create an army in that language, and you will be on the stage in front of 15,000 people in that language. And there's somebody watching this live stream now who tonight, because I speak the words that are now coming out of my mouth, I'm going to inspire you with hope and vision, and because you have hope and vision, your whole life is going to transform. Because I don't know if this is exactly true, but the Bible says where there's no vision, the people perish. And I'm not somebody who particularly reads the Bible a ton, but I do like a handful of sayings, that kind of suit my purposes from here and there. But what does that mean? It means that when you do not know where you're going, you kind of wither up and die on the inside. Sometimes in life we get beaten down. Sometimes in life we get attacked by things that are around us. Sometimes in life things don't go the way we want them to go. Even when we make the right decisions, things don't always work in our favor, or so it seems. But here's the reality. Sometimes your energy gets consumed in these obstacles. Sometimes your energy gets consumed in the details of things around you. Sometimes your energy can get consumed not in where you're going, but in the mess that you're in right now. And when you start focusing in on the mess, here's what happens. I actually was I went to this retreat center for a few weeks where I was working on myself, and I was working on my vision because I had had some craziness going on in my personal life. Well, when I was in there, I met a guy, and I'm not going to mention his name, so I'll say his name was, like, Garth, right? Because that's a name that I actually don't know anyone named Garth. There's probably, though, somebody watching this live stream named Garth who's making a new decision. Say his name was Garth, right? This guy had been a massively successful business person all his life. And then what happened is a couple of years ago, he got slammed with a couple of frivolous lawsuits. Well, rather than letting go, and rather than just going and settling the lawsuits, he became consumed in them. He spent his entire fortune trying to keep people away from really paying them a small amount of money. In other words, he spent more money fighting these people off significantly just to prove that he was right than it would have cost to just settle the lawsuits, right? And it wasn't the fact that he spent the money that had destroyed him on the inside. It was that when he got consumed in the details of the obstacles, he stopped focusing on his vision, and what happened is he perished on the inside. His heart withered up and died. He lost the ability to use his gifts to go out there and start making money now in his business. He lost the ability that he had kind of been birthed with to go out there and to create fortunes. He became consumed. Well, a friend came along a couple of years later, slapped him on the back, said, "I'll solve this for you." Went and he just settled the lawsuits, but this guy was really messed up. He'd spent all his money. He'd been focused on problems for 2 years, right? So I took about 20 minutes with him while I was there because I know some neat things about the mind and what you can do. And in a 20-minute conversation, rewired this man's brain from focusing on his problems to focusing on the result that he wanted. And an interesting thing happened when I talked to him. What's the interesting thing? Well, his shoulders, he went from walking like this and looking down all the time to all of a sudden going like this. He went from talking about his problems all the time to all of a sudden he began to speak and he began to talk about all the great things that he was going to do with his life. His vision actually improved by a significant enough amount to where he had to change his glasses just by changing his focus. Now, is that a weird thing that happens all the time? No, it did happen, and I saw it right in front of my eyes. He started working out again. He started getting in shape. He stopped focusing on problems and what the problems were doing and why his life was there. And all of a sudden, he started focusing on solutions, and he started focusing on how am I going to get this result and how am I going to solve these problems. He went in that conversation wondering how he was going to spend the small amount of money that he had, and he left that conversation with me that day thinking about all the ways he was going to go create more money in his life by implementing the ideas that originate from his unconscious mind, and now he's a changed man. All from a 20-minute conversation. There are powerful things that you can do with the mind when you decide to stop focusing on problems and start focusing on how to get the result that you want in your life. There's something powerful that happens inside the mind when you stop focusing on the obstacles that are in your way and you start focusing on the mountain that you're climbing, which you can still see because it's bigger than the obstacles and you can see it overarching the obstacles. There's something powerful that happens when you decide to let go of the lawsuit, when you decide to let go of control of everything in your life, when you decide that you're going to do something new with your heart and you're going to go out there and you're going to focus on your dreams and goals, when you decide to forgive that person that told you that you can't do it and to realize that they were doing the best that they can with the resources they have available, when you decide that you're going to do something new and do something powerful in your life, when you make new decisions to focus on different outcomes, it's amazing on what can happen. What does this have to do with blogging? Well, we're going to get into that tonight as we progress through and lay out a formula for creating wealth in your business now, right? What I want to know is, are you willing to do it? Are you willing to step out of your comfort zone? Are you willing to listen to the instruction? Are you willing to surround yourself with people that are not better than you? Keep that in mind. However, they do know things that you don't know, and they are better at certain things. See, I learned something a long time ago, and what I learned is that you have a choice in life, and that is you can focus on all the areas you're weak in life, and you can be frustrated all the time trying to make weak things strong. However, there's also another way of focusing your energy, and that's deciding that you're going to focus all your energy into where you're strong and surround yourself with people who you love and care about and are lifting up to fill in the weaknesses. What's the difference? Well, one time I was in a conference with 15,000 people. A man named John Maxwell walked on the stage, and he was talking about focusing on your strengths. And here's what he told me. Now, I don't know if this is totally true, but I believed it, and it made sense to me, and this is responsible for creating the majority of the results in my life. What happened was John Maxwell said that people are born with natural inclinations and natural gifts, things that they're good at automatically, things where they're not an expert at. They're not a level 10 on a scale of 1 to 10 at. However, they are on a scale of 1 to 10. They're like naturally a 6 or a 7, right? So, for example, somebody might be a natural 6 or a 7 at communicating and speaking. Well, if somebody's really good at speaking and they've got a gift of gab, that usually also goes with a weakness where they're a 1 or a 2. For example, I'm a natural, really good communicator verbally, right? And I also space out all the time when I'm listening, and I'm not a natural listener, right? So my ability to communicate verbally is naturally like maybe a 7, and I've worked it up to about a 9.5, right? I've got a long ways to go to get to a 10, right? However, my ability at listening is like naturally a 1, right? Well, the ability to communicate well verbally and the ability to listen are opposing gifts. Somebody who can listen really well usually is not that great at inspirational communication. Somebody who's really good at inspirational communication is usually not that good at listening. They are opposite skills, and they fight against each other. And there's a saying that I actually heard from a guy named Jeff Olson where, have you noticed, your strengths and your weaknesses tend to go together, don't they? When you're good at one thing, it's also the source of some of your greatest problems in life. That's the exact opposite of what you're good at, right? Sometimes when you're super intelligent, you overthink things all the time. Sometimes if you're really good at talking, you drive people away in your life. Sometimes if you're a really strong person, right, you can push people away. Something I've seen a lot of people really close to me do quite often. People who have really strong, aggressive personalities, right? Well, that can be a strength because you get the job done. However, it can drive a lot of the soft personalities and people who need love and attention away from you because they don't want to be around the energy. Your strengths and your weaknesses go together. Now, here's what I learned from John Maxwell. He was standing on stage, and he said, you have a choice. He says it takes an entire life of work to improve a natural skill 2 or 3 points on a scale of 1 to 10. In other words, if you're a natural 1, you can spend your whole life on the 1, and you move to a level 3, or a level 4 if you really work on it hard. He says, but if you're a natural 7 in an area, you spend your whole life in that area, working on that area, you can move to a natural 9, you can move to a 9, a 9.5, or a 10. He said, here's the difference, and this is a big deal. He says, a 3, right, makes about $15,000 a year, right? He says a 9 or a 9.5 or a 10, he says you almost can't pay enough to get a 10 in the room. He says, but if you're a 9, you're going to make over $1 million a year in any skill set in life if you're a 9. Because people will fly around the world to see a 9. And people will pay their life savings and pay, take loans out on their mortgage to learn from a 10. So the question is what should you focus on? Where should you place your energy and attention? I'm going to suggest to you that here's the formula for doing this, is that what you need to do is focus almost all of your energy on your strengths, because that's what's going to make you your money. And whatever your weaknesses are, admit them, realize them, and then surround yourself with people who are a natural 7 and who work on themselves in those areas. So if you're not a good listener, you need good listeners around you. If, for example, let me give some examples in business and marketing. And I'm kind of talking around something here. We're going back to somewhere important. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's okay. Just hit the buy now button and just get in. Let me give you some examples in business, though. There are people in marketing who market in different ways. Some people have a better natural inclination towards analytics, and some people have a natural inclination towards inspirational communication. Almost all the time, somebody who's really good at inspirational communication is not good at analytics, right? The two skills are contradictory, and they fight each other in the brain. Because in order to be an inspirational communicator, you have to be a little spacey and be able to tap into your unconscious mind. In order to be analytical, you have to be able to focus the majority of your energy not on what's inside, but on the external world, on the outside. Your mind needs to be a little bit more quiet, and you need to think in a different way. The two skills don't really go together in the same brain, right? So what's a problem that's created from that in marketing and in business? Well, a lot of times, somebody who's really good at inspirational communication, it tries to build their business in a way where that fundamental way of building a business is built for people that are fundamentally more analytical, right? And somebody analytical goes out there and they spend thousands of dollars flying around seminars and going to meet hippie gurus and stuff like this. They spend this money flying around the world to go to learn all these skills that really they just kind of suck at. They're just not good. You know what I'm saying? When they learn the skills, they analyze it and it makes sense to them. And after analyzing it and it making sense, they're still not very good at the skill. They still don't have a high ability to do it. And I've seen this play out in the marketing world in a lot of different ways. For example, at Empower Network, we have, in addition to the product that you're going to buy in this live stream, in addition to the products you can buy in the back office, at Empower Network, we have people that market in all kinds of different ways. We've got people like Justin Berengia that have a predominant skill set of inspirational communication. And then we've got people like Tony Rush, whose predominant skill set really is his ability to be analytical and to structure business decisions, right? We've got people that are somewhat of a combination, and we've got people that are neither of the above. We've got people who just kind of build their businesses by being loving and nice. We've got people that are building their businesses, that are blogging, that are creating the circles around them in all sorts of different ways. Let me give you an example. We were just at an event, and we had 2 people sitting at a table that were making significantly over $30,000 a month. One of the people at the table was Nicole Cooper, and one of the people at the table was Chris Jones, right? Well, when Chris Jones found out Nicole Cooper doesn't really do any paid advertising at all, he about had a heart attack and died, right? He's like, what are you talking about? So you're just like keeping all the money. She's like, well, yeah, I'm not good at paid ads. He's like, well, I built my business only from paid ads. Why? Because Chris Jones has more of an analytical, structured mind, and Nicole Cooper is, what she would call a blue, but really what you would call she's got like a social, inspirational personality. And usually social, inspirational personalities are horrible at paid advertising and analytics, and it takes them all day to do something they can hire somebody else to do, and they do a worse job at it. But you get them around people, you get them on Facebook, you get them the ability of having communication with others, and all of a sudden they can step into a new space, and they can step into new power, and they can start making money now in their business, and they can do it while they're having a life at the same time. So my question for you is, what are you good at? And what are your strengths, and what strengths and resources do you have that you are good at that are going to help you get the results that you want? Let me give you an example. After our event, I was sitting downstairs after going out with some of the leaders, and there was a gentleman downstairs who just says, you know what, David, I can't succeed at anything. I fail at everything in life. And I said, everything? He says, yeah, everything. And I looked at him again, and I said, what are you good at? And he says, well, you know, I'm good at guitar. And so I said, are you good at guitar? Are you really good? How good are you? He says, oh, I'm really good. And so I said, okay, what else are you good at? Can you sing? And he says, oh, I'm real good at singing. And I say, okay, what else are you good at? You have kids? And he says, yeah, I have kids. I said, they turn out okay? He says, yes. I said, so you're a good parent. And I said, what else are you good at? And I just asked him, what are you good at, for about 10 minutes. And I found like 100 things this guy was good at that revolved around a couple of core skills. And here he was saying he doesn't succeed in anything. When the reality was he just wasn't making the money he wants in his business because he was focusing on his financial outcomes, which up until that point in his life had been crappy. And why had they been crappy? They had been crappy because he had been trying to get good at things that he sucks at and are impossible for a man like him to learn. So by re-engaging and refocusing your energy towards a skill set, towards a way of marketing, towards a way of living, towards a way of doing business, I'm not talking about doing what you love. What I'm talking about is I'm talking about doing what's in your natural inclination to do and then deciding to let go of control in the other aspects of your business by surrounding yourself with people that make up for where you're weak. That is an ability of a real leader in this industry. That's the ability of somebody that can go out there and they can make millions of dollars a year. That's the ability of somebody that can be transformational to generations of people, right? Let me give you an example of how we did that. You know, Dave Sharp and I started working together, and here's why we started working together. Because he was really good at some stuff that I wasn't good at. And I was really good at some stuff that he wasn't good at. And we both worked hard all day and night, and we both were willing to put our heart and our soul and our energy into a project, and we were willing to do it in our own unique way. Dave Sharp made up for a massive deficiency that I had in creating businesses, because I was always able to sell. I was always able to inspirationally communicate. I was always able to teach. However, I was missing a core skill set built around certain kinds of implementation that was filled by David Sharp. Well, after David Sharp and I started building the company, here's what happened. Within a month, we had over 10,000 customers in different countries around the world, right? We had no employees. We had nobody doing customer service, right? So we had to start looking at ourselves and what we were doing. And our energy shifted from what we were good at to what we weren't good at. And immediately the sales dipped in Power Network because we were going off of our core strength and our core skill set. So what we did was we said, what do we need now? We needed some customer service employees that we hired. Well, when we hired customer service, all of a sudden people stopped canceling their websites because they could get their problems answered. Right? And our company grew and our company expanded, and we were each doing the job of about 15 people in the organization. We were managing customer service people, we were hiring and firing, we were out there doing marketing and sales, we were out there inspirationally communicating with the leaders, we were on the phone with event planners every day trying to get the events. And then one day I was in a conversation with a guy who had been an operations manager for a company over in China that had gotten to $250 million a year in sales. And I was on the phone with him, and I could never forget this conversation where he said, Dave, can I ask you a question? And I said, sure, man, what's up? And he said, who runs your company? Because I hope to God it's not you. Right? Now, that'd be taken to some people by a stab in the, like a stab in the gut. But to me, I actually burst into laughter. And I said, what are you talking about? You know, I kind of stopped because I'd never actually ran a company before. I'd always just sold stuff. And he said, well, who's running your operations? And I said, and then I asked a smart question. I said, who should be doing this? Curtis. And he said, great question, Dave. You need a chief operations officer. You need one, like yesterday. Because if you don't get one, your company's going to be ran into the ground because you guys got too many operational infrastructure problems. And when this starts getting 5 times bigger, which, by the way, it's gotten more than 5 times bigger since then, he says, you guys, your infrastructure will crack and break, and your company will break into pieces, right? So I said, well, how do I hire an operations guy? He said, well, how have you hired your employees? And I said, well, we've hired HR consultants who's pre-interviewed people, that they've brought them to us, and then we've decided on who to bring in and who not to bring in. He says, great, go talk to him. So we went to a guy who had a business where he was doing operations consulting, and that guy's name was Jerry Ballard. Well, Jerry had his own business where he was flying around the country and helping other people hire and fire employees. He'd actually hired and fired more than 5,000 people over the last right? So Dave Sharp went to Jerry and he said, Jerry, this is what we need. And he described the position and what we wanted them to do. And that description is we got from this other guy. Well, he described what we need, and then Jerry said, I might be interested in that. Dave said, really? And he popped on the phone. He said, it's Dave, the guy who's hired all our best employees is interested in the operations job. And he's done stuff like this before. And so I said, great, let's fly out to meet him. So I flew out to St. Petersburg, Florida, and sat down and talked to Jerry. And here's what I saw. I saw that he had a gift and a talent and a heart to do the things that I suck at, to do the things that had I continued to do would have, and it's not just that I was continuing to do them, it's really all the stuff that wasn't getting done, that needed to get done that we didn't even know about. And then a core skilled person was able to fill that role, right? Well, we started having the same infrastructure issues around technology because our site started to get so big, it started getting so many page views, we started rising up in the Alexa rings to where we needed somebody to manage the technology. Now, up until that point, I had been managing the technology along with Dave Sharp, who had gotten more frustrated with it and was focusing the majority of his energy on marketing, and I was focusing on working with all these developers. Here's the reality, though. Stuff was taking forever to get done. It wasn't getting done well, right? And it wasn't getting done the way a CTO could get it done. We needed to fill a role that was empty in our company of somebody who had the same infrastructure management capability with technology. And I called up Jerry and I said, Jerry, we need somebody to manage this technology. He says, what do you need them to do? I described the position, and then he says, we need a CTO. Right? So he brought in our chief technology officer, which is Casey Muse. Now, when Casey came in, EN version 2 was just an idea. It was an idea that I had created from my mind, along with Dave Sharp, along with some people who do design work and stuff like this. It was a way for you to get started in a business, to get started building a website faster than setting up a Facebook account, and have the ability to go out there and just make money blogging and just make money in your business quickly, right? And so we had built this idea, but every idea for technology has to have technology that's actually built. I was not good at managing technology teams, so we brought Casey in, and he really got excited because of the Blog Beast and Power Network version 2 and what it had the ability to do, the way that it's going to change the way people communicate, the way people share information, the way people blog on the internet, the way that's going to change the infrastructure of how blogging is done, the way it's going to change the way direct sales and network marketing is done, the way it's going to change the way business is done on the internet. He got really excited about the idea, and he'd managed some big projects. Never anything quite this big. Well, Casey came in, and all of a sudden, it was like a building was lifted off my shoulders because I could see above the water and look into the vision in the clouds again and realize that there's something more out there and there's something more that we can do if I just focus my energy and attention on the vision, on where we're going, on the people that are making decisions to take action. And all of a sudden, I have the people around me to get the job done. Now, there's still holes and there's still gaps that happen in our company. And our talent has now become learning to recognize those gaps and who needs to fill them. Learning who is it that needs to be in this role to make up for this deficiency that we have so we can focus on what it is that we're good at, right? Where's this all heading? Where it's heading is this. When you buy this and you make a decision and you're focusing on your outcome, I want you to realize that you are going to be good at 2 or 3 things. And where those areas are, you're going to be good. And everything else that you're going to try to do probably for the rest of your life, the truth is, if I'm just brutally honest with you, you're going to probably be awful, right? You're not even going to be bad. You're just going to be awful at them, right? And if you choose to focus on where you're awful, you're going to be frustrated. You're going to feel discouraged. You're gonna. What some lady in our web said she was backsliding. I said, backsliding? What do you mean? Like you're not following the commandments, right? And she started laughing along with everybody else, right? We don't backslide if there's not a religion in place. But you guys are welcome to join at any time. That was just a funny thing to say, right? But this lady said that she, backslid, right? Well, the reality is, why do people have energy that fluctuates like this all the time? Well, what happens is when you start building a business and an organization, you start having problems pop up in different areas of the business. And usually what an entrepreneur does is they start focusing their energy on everything around the business, right? They start serving the customers and selling to the customers and doing the marketing, putting together the marketing material and managing the operations of the company. And they literally run around like a ragged doll doing all these works. But really, the money that they make is from doing one or two things. Well, when you take your attention off those one or two things, your income goes down, but also you get signals from your unconscious mind that create resistance in yourself taking massive action. Let me give you an example of that. I built a business without any phone calls. In fact, I actually do have a phone now. Didn't for the longest time. But if I pull this phone out and I turn it on, I've got like, one or two phone calls that I get a day, right? If I click on here and I click on the phone, today, actually I've got no phone calls, right? So if we look at this, right, yesterday, I got 2 phone calls from one of my lawyers. I don't know if you can see that, right? 2. That was yesterday. That's actually the only phone calls I got yesterday. Now today, which is Wednesday, I have 0 phone calls, 0. And with 0 phone calls, I am running a company that is doing $1.5, $1.8, $2 million sometimes a week in sales with a phone that gets no phone calls, right? How is that even possible if you compare that to normal network marketing? Well, it's possible because a few years ago, I kept getting discouraged because I was calling people and they weren't getting in. And I would muster up courage, I would do positive affirmations, I would pace around my room and I'd say, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. But then I would pick up the phone and my heart would sink, right? And it was like grinding through this awful pile of emotion, right? Now, not everybody experiences that, but there's a lot of people who get discouraged from doing phone calls. It's actually a really common problem, right? Where somebody goes out there and they're trying to get results in their business, they're trying to, they're trying to create income, and they're doing something where there's massive, massive, massive internal resistance. Now, what the world tells you to do is they tell you overcome the resistance. They say, do affirmations. I can make phone calls. I can make phone calls. I'm pumped for it. I'm pumped for it. I'm pumped for it. I'm pumped for it. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm excited. I can do it. And they tell you to just get excited about stuff. When the reality is, you suck at it. And your unconscious mind is trying to tell you, I hate this, right? And if you hate it, truthfully, what are you good at? Because when I started putting down the phone, it was like simultaneously my hand reached up and it picked up the paycheck. Right? That's what happened. It was like I put down the phone and I picked up the paycheck. The second I started putting down the phone, and I stopped trying to prospect, and I stopped trying to chase people around, and I stopped trying to get other people to do what I wanted, and instead, I focused on what I'm good at. I focused on where my skills are at. I focused on sharing my voice with the world, with my talent with the world, with my heart with the world. And when I started focusing on what I'm good at and where I'm talented and gifted and skilled, instantaneously, I started making a lot of money, literally within 3 months. Within 90 days of deciding to put down the phone, I was picking up massive checks every single month because I was able to operate in my core skill set, because my core skill set, if you haven't noticed, is inspirational communication. I may not be the best person in the world at getting people to webinars, but I'll tell you something, when people get to webinars, they decide to buy. When people get in an Empower Network, they decide to get all in. When people get in my team, they decide to stick with the vision. When people get to events and they get around me, they make new decisions about who they are and what they can do and what's possible for the future of their lives. When people get around me, they start making new decisions automatically, and I've gotten so good at that, it almost seems like I've got magical powers. I had some really interesting experiences the last event for this, right? So that's some background stuff that I'm going to give you just because I wanted to help you focus your energy so you can lift your head above the distractions of all the things that are going to attack you in your life that are going to keep you back from making lots of money now by simply making a decision and following through on that decision, walking in who you are, which remember is different than who I am, right? I want you to focus on your gifts, your talents, your ability to inspire, your ability to create, your ability to lift people up, your ability that you have that's implanted in you through genetics or through spirituality or whatever's there doing it, your gifts that are there they're unique to you, that is a gift to the world. Because I'm telling you something, Fred. I don't care if you've been poor your whole life. I don't care if you've been trying to do network marketing for 10 years and you still suck at it. I don't care if you've made 8 million phone calls and you ain't rich yet. And I don't care if you're rich but you feel discouraged inside because your team ain't making money. Whoever you are, wherever you are in life, I can relate to you even if I haven't been in your shoes. And I'm telling you something, Fred. You have got inside of you a gift to the world. You've got something inside of you that is meant and designed by some mechanism to help you reach out there and to lift other people up. You've got something inside that needs to be shared on a blogging platform. You've got something inside that needs to be shared on a stage of thousands and thousands of people. And I can see the day where there's somebody on this live stream, on the page now, and they're not even in. And they're clicking the button right now and pulling out their credit card, and as they are making a new decision unconsciously to align themselves with a team of people that are moving places where they cannot go on their own. And they've just realized, in hearing the sound of my voice, that it is more powerful to be unified than it is to be right all the time. It's more powerful to unify a group of people around an idea than it is to try to create the entire idea on your own. It's more powerful sometimes to make less money but help other people make more, and in the end you end up making more because you decided to be a servant. It's more powerful to realize that when you surround yourself with gifted and talented people, not only do they love you more, but you can do things that you could never do on your own. And I invite you right now to join us in that and to buy this platform we've been talking about. It's been all over Facebook. You've seen the videos a million times. And it's time to pull out your credit card and decide to buy now, because we're going somewhere. And the question is, are you? Are you? And where are you going? Right? And what are you going to do? So here's what I'm going to do. Right now, my time is 7:50, okay? And I don't know what time zone you're in. I live in Costa Rica, okay, which is sometimes Mountain Time, sometimes Central Time. I never pay attention to what time it is in the rest of the world. What I'm going to do in the next minute or two is I'm going to put the whiteboard somewhere where I can write on. Actually, probably right behind me, so I can just stay standing down. I was going to pull out a microphone and step back a little bit further, but my microphone isn't plugging into my computer properly, so I'm going to have to do that another time when we're not live. So I'm going to move my whiteboard over here because I want to draw some stuff out for you. And what I want to draw out for you is a formula for wealth creation. Okay? And I'm not going to be talking about being a billionaire here because I don't know how to be a billionaire yet. What I am going to talk about is I'm going to talk about the structure of creating almost a magical amount of money. Now, I can warn you in advance of that. That does not guarantee that you'll make money. The formula doesn't guarantee anything other than that it's a guide, it's a path to go out there and create wealth in your business. Because the one thing I can't guarantee is, are you going to stick with this and stay around in order to make it happen? And here's what I can promise you. I can promise you that people who have followed this formula, okay, which is a real, honest formula for creating income and creating wealth, the people who have followed it have created incredibly massive results. I can also tell you that the people who have not followed it the way that I'm going to describe have not created those same results, and they've continued to struggle and be in pain in their business. So I want you to be among those who get the result, so I want you to pay attention. In the meantime, here's what I want you to do. We're going to have 2 or 3 minutes while I'm getting this set up. I want you to, number 1, get clear on your goals. Number 2, make sure that you're in, because I'm going to show you how to do this a lot easier by being a part of our blogging platform. I'm going to show you how to do this a lot easier by making a decision to buy. I'm going to show you how to do it cheaper, faster, and better than you can do anywhere else because you made a decision to do it here, to lock arms with us, to fight the forces of evil, and to lift other people up, inspirationally communicating with them with your unique talents and gifts. And so take 2 or 3 minutes. I'm actually going to go grab my cup of coffee that I made ages ago, set up the whiteboard, and make sure that I can share these ideas with you because what I'm going to show you is powerful. All right? And while we're at it, leave your thoughts on what you've learned so far in the comments. All right, here. I'm going to turn my camera off, folks. If people ask, where I am, just tell them I'll be back in a second here. Actually, I can just leave this thing on while I do this. Hold on a second here. All right. gotta make sure I can draw this out. Hold on there. And I gotta make sure you guys can hear me okay. Can you guys, hold on, from this distance, can you guys hear me okay, or is it just like too echoey to even pay attention to? Just tell me. Because I don't have my microphone, so I need to know. Hold on, let me go back to the live stream page. I'm working for the next stream that I do. I wasn't actually aware that the new MacBooks don't have that microphone hole. They just have a hole for headphones, which is a little strange. If any of you know where that is, that'd be great. But just tell me. Standing back here, can you guys hear this okay, or is it echoing too bad? Oh yeah, we're getting that. Somebody says I need a broadcast engineer. Trust me, working on it. Getting a just all-around video guy out here. But by the way, good point, isn't it? You know, I need somebody doing this stuff so I can just get on and deliver. Right? You can hear me fine? Okay, guys, I'm going to take a couple minutes, clarify your outcome, click the button and join, make sure that you're in, and you're getting ready, and then I'm going to draw some stuff out for you to help you get results, and that's what we're going to spend the rest of the night doing, is just talking about how to go out there and create more of your business. Be right back. All right, folks, coming back in here now, and we're going to get going. Again, I'm going to get this, somebody said I need a sound engineer and all that stuff, and somebody, designed my broadcast, So I'm actually going to do that. Hold on a second. I'm back, and let me just actually, I'm going to adjust this because this makes more sense if I can stand from this angle, just from how I talk and how I do this. I have the most hilarious issues, doing these things. Hold on a second here. Oh, that was hilarious. I'm going to need to get my other whiteboard stamp. Then I need something else here. And this is all a new house too, so some of this is new. Hold on, I need one more thing. I'll be right back. So, you guys can hear me okay? You guys can see, you can hear, everything like that? All right, good. There's going to be a little bit of echo going on, but it's all right. I've actually done before, I've been on streams like this, like what I'm doing right now, and on things like this, I have done over $200,000 in sales with the crappiest audio that you've ever heard in your life. And so it doesn't really matter because, as you're hearing the bugs in the background and the cars driving by and my echoey, room that we've got here because my good microphone can't plug into my Mac, you can also realize that by having those distractions around, you can lean in, focus, and pay attention. And by paying more attention, you can even get more out of this than you would if the sound was perfect, by just deciding to pay attention through all the distractions. And that's the beautiful thing, isn't it? So hold on just one more second here, and then I'm going to paint this out. Now, keep in mind what I'm going to draw out here for you today. There is more to learn, okay? in all parts of the process. But this is the basics of it, okay? This is the basics of it. And in everything in life, no matter if you're doing martial arts or if you're building a business, or if you're, if you're going out there and meeting new people, there's really a few skills. There's a few ideas that are the foundation for everything, okay? That really control whether you're creating results or not. These few ideas are what you need to focus on. And by focusing on the few ideas, right, it's like focusing on the strengths. Let me actually give you a great example with technology, right? If you have websites of any kind, your website has to be ran on some kind of a server infrastructure, right? And server infrastructures are pre-built technology that run, code that make websites appear on the internet. Now, most people, when they're going and they're setting up websites, they use a system called cPanel, right? If you guys have ever had like a HostGator account, and you've gone into the back office, you've installed WordPress or something like that from cPanel, if you've ever done anything like that, then you know what I'm talking about. There's a bunch of buttons everywhere. That is the hosting infrastructure. It's technology that runs behind that allows software to run the websites. Well, when we started building our company, we originally actually had our company, our whole thing hosted on, hosted on cPanel. Well, our developer immediately moved it to a system called NGINX, right? Now, here's an interesting thing. NGINX does not do all the things cPanel does. cPanel can do like 10,000 more things than NGINX can do. And those of you who are developers, you know what I'm talking about. However, when you have a website, even a huge website with hundreds of millions of visitors a month like we have today, right? Here's the reality, and here's the interesting thing. There's only really 6 or 10 things that hosting infrastructure needs to do. And NGINX doesn't do all of them, but every one of those things that it does do, it does 1,000 times better, 1,000 times faster, and 1,000 times more efficiently with resources, which is really important when you're running a website that has a lot of traffic. And when you're running a business that has a lot of business, it's really important that you're efficient at blocking and tackling and the basics. Does that make sense to you? Okay, so let me actually draw up a formula for it. And I'm going to start with a really quick review of what I got over yesterday, and then I'm going to get into what you need to do now to create more results in your business and more results in your life, and how to do this better, quicker, and faster by just deciding to align your energy in a new way towards new things. All right, let me draw some of those things out for you. Okay, yesterday we were talking about the core things that you need. Right? We got number 1. You need a clear outcome in your business. Right? If you're not clear on where you're going, and if you're not clear on what you want in your business and your life, here's the thing: you're going to hit it, which means you're going to hit nothing. And I have people come to me all the time who say that they're clear, but the reality is they're not clear at all. They actually don't know what it is they want. They say things like, well, I want to make more money. And I respond with, well, how much more? And how will you know that you've hit it, right? Because you got to understand, if you're running a business, it's significantly different than having a job. And just setting an income goal doesn't really make a lot of sense. If you're in business, you need to set a profit goal. Because how many of you guys realize this is an example of people setting unclear outcomes? $10,000 a month, right, is very, very, very different than $10,000 a month in profit. Right? You guys know that? See, sometimes people go out there and they say, I'm a 6-figure earner, but they're really keeping about $1,000 a month because they're spending most of their money, reinvesting it back into their business, and they're not really making that much money. What they're doing is they're creating a real income, a real profit of $1,000 a month. This is an example of a really common unclear outcome where people don't really define the boundaries of what's going to create the result. And the thing is about your unconscious mind doesn't really interpret this stuff, it just creates it. And whatever you're focused on is what you're going to create. If you're on this page right now and you're focused on going and creating $10,000 a month in revenue, well, you might go out there and create $10,000 a month in revenue and keep none of your income, right? You want to make sure that what you're focused on is actually something that makes sense and is clearly defined and has boundary conditions on it. And if you really want to know a place that can really teach you how to do that well, if you buy the 15K formula, which is one of the products we have here at Empower Network, webinar number 1, I talk about setting clear outcomes. And actually through several webinars in that series, I teach you how to clarify those outcomes to get a better result in your business. All right. Number 1, you got to have an outcome, right? Your outcome has got to be clear. Okay? Number 2 thing that you need is you need to have a vehicle, right? You need to have a vehicle in order to get what you want in your business. Now, if you don't have a vehicle, you've got to create one. Okay? So you have a choice in business where if you're going to go out there and you're going to create, for example, a financial outcome, you need to have a vehicle to create that financial outcome, right? If you're going to get a result, you need a vehicle to create that result. If you want to get somewhere in town, you need a vehicle to get to that place in town. If your vehicle is your legs, it's going to get there a little slower than if your vehicle is a Ferrari, right? You want to make sure that you've got a fast, efficient vehicle in order to get the results that you want. And so what you want to look for is you want to match the vehicle with your outcome, right? And people get all sorts of screwy ideas on this because sometimes you have people say things like, I'm just sticking with it. I'm just, I'm going to be in this thing till the end of time. You know what I'm saying? But they've got an outcome, and their outcome is going this direction, right? And then they've got a vehicle, and their vehicle is going in this direction. They don't match, right? So if your outcome is a financial outcome, if your outcome is to create a certain amount of profit every month, if your outcome is to create a particular result in your business, you want to make sure that the vehicle that you have matches the outcome that you want. You want to make sure that you are actually having something to drive that can get you to that place in town. Because if I try to walk to San Jose, truthfully, I'll probably never get there. Because even if I could walk that far in a day, which probably, truthfully, I can't, right? Because my ankle would get sore because I got a sprained ankle, or I wouldn't get there, or probably I'd get mugged trying to walk down there because people see the expensive jewelry on my hand and try to mug me or something like that at gunpoint, right? If I want to get to central San Jose, I've got to pop in a car, right? I got to pop in a car. And if I'm going to pop in a car, why not get in a car? Why not get in a vehicle that actually makes sense for what I'm here to do? And that's going to be different depending on what you want. Okay? You want a vehicle that actually makes sense, right? And then number 3, you need a system, right? And what systems? Systems are things that systems. What they do is they systematize things that you really don't want to be doing in your business. They save you time, energy, and money through other people, other resources, technology you don't understand. Basically, what a system is there to do is to do things that truthfully you don't want to do that are going to help you make more money. Customer service is part of the system. Technology infrastructure is part of the system. The way things are sold can be a part of the system. Basically, almost everything can be systematized. And I would actually venture to say that everything in your life, except for the 1 or 2 things that you're good at, should actually be systematized, right? Either by us or by somebody else that you hire. Because if you don't have systems running the things that you're not good at, somebody gave a great example. They said you need an audio, video, sound engineer to set up your live streams. And I actually saw that, and I just want to give that guy a hug. You know what I'm saying? And just said, I should have thought of that like 2 years ago when I'm always late to these live streams, and I'm always struggling last second to set them up, and then I'm in the middle of talking about not focusing on your weaknesses, and somebody pops in the comments, dude, you need an audio, video, sound engineer, which I was actually looking for a video guy, hired one, had to fire him, right? I'm still looking for a talented video person in Costa Rica, and that's one of the things that they'll probably do, right? You need systems to save you time, to save you energy, to save you money, so you can focus on what you're good at and have things working around you and all the things that you're not. Now, sometimes the frustrating part about that is when you're new, when you're just getting started in your business, you don't have the financial resources, right? You don't have them to be able to create your own systems. You don't have financial resources to be able to go and hire a CTO, to be able to go and hire a chief marketing officer, to be able to hire a COO. You just don't have them, and you don't have the knowledge and expertise because you're new, right? Or you've never done that before. To get good ones, even if you did it, and the truth is that they're expensive. You know what I mean? First employee we hired, where it was like a multiple 6-figure income, my heart was like, you know what I'm saying? but that person is the best hiring decision we ever made, right? Second person we hired with multiple six-figure income, right? But they're worth it, right? Systems can be made up from people, they can be made up from technology. There are background processes that run on their own to help you create your outcome in your business. Now, the problem is, not every vehicle has good systems. Most systems are inefficient, and they don't really create good results, right? Well, what's the problem with that? The problem with that is, it's like having a Ferrari and filling it with the wrong kind of oil, or filling it with the wrong kind of gasoline, right? You put diesel into a gasoline tank, it destroys the engine. And a lot of people are out there on the internet doing things like that, where they've got a vehicle, it might not be the best vehicle in the first place, but then they're filling it with the wrong kind of fuel, and they're filling it with the wrong kind of energy and attention, and the car won't go anywhere, they can't figure out why. They're like, I turn the key, right? But they don't realize they got to push the gas at the same time and shift it into the right gear, right? You got to operate the vehicle, and you've got to have systems in place in order to do it. Now, the remaining part of the gap, right, is what I talked about last night, where I said I was going to get tonight, and I've talked around in circles a little bit, right, is strategy. And strategy means more than technical skills, okay? Strategy is what's going to focus the direction you're moving into and how you're going to get there, right, how you're going to get there. And this is really what it's going to do. If you look at what you want to do in life, and most of you, it has financial outcomes, right? You guys want to make more money. You guys want more money in your bank accounts. You guys just bought a blogging platform. You're in, right? You want to get from point A, which is your present state, over here, and you want to make it over here to point B, which is the desired outcome that you've got. And in between point A and point B, right, there's only one path that's a straight line. There's only one. And this path is the shortest way to get there. Now here's the problem. You are never going to predict the exact straight line for your outcome. You can't, right? And if you're doing a really good job, and this is what strategy does, right? You're going to go like this. You're going to get off your outcome, course correct, get off your outcome again, course correct, get off your outcome again, course correct, and you're going to go up and down, course correcting, until you get to the outcome that you want, until you create the result you want in your business, right? You're going to try things that don't work. You're going to spend money on advertising that doesn't work. You're going to try strategies that don't work the way that you want. You're going to create situations where you're not succeeding as fast as you want, and you need to learn something new. Now, most people would take that as, like I'm failing. You know what I'm saying? I'm not getting results. However, right, what I want you to do is I want you to take it differently, right? I want you to look at this not as failure. I want you to look at feedback to correct your course of action. You try something that doesn't work, what is it? It's a feedback mechanism that says it's time to change your strategy just a little bit. When a rocket heads to the moon, controlled by NASA, it's off course not 1%, but 99% of the time. And it needs to have constant course corrections in order to stay on the path. When I was a kid, I used to see my dad driving, he'd go like this on the road all the time. You know what I mean? And I used to, in order to go straight in the car, that you actually needed to move the steering wheel like this, because I saw adults doing it. But what are adults actually doing when they're driving cars? They're not just like going this because they're being crazy, they're going this because roads have bumps and curves in them that take you off the path. And if you just leave your car moving in a straight line, it will gradually move off a road that even looks straight. You guys realize that? So even when you have a path that looks like it goes from point A to point B, the path never really goes directly from point A to point B. You're going to have ups, you're going to have downs, you're going to go up one month, you'll go down the next, and then you'll go up higher, right? Some people get discouraged when it goes down, not realizing that that just looks like a stock market graph, right? I had some situations in my business real early on. I remember I came in, my first month on the internet, I made like 15 bucks. Next month I made like 800 bucks. Next month I made like 30,000 or something, right? And then the next month I made like, it was like $50,000. And then the next month it was back down to like 30, right? Now most people, this is what they do. They go up like this, they're up like this, they're up like this, and then they drop, and then they get discouraged, right? Not realizing that dropping back down to that 30,000 is still 10 times more money in a month than I'd ever made in a month previously, right, 4 months ago. And it's not such bad course correction. And it took me a lot of time of going from 35,000 to 29,000 to 45,000 to 35,000 to 40,000 to 30,000 for a couple of years before I realized, right, what course corrections I needed to make in order to change my outcome, in order to change my business. Right? Does that make sense to you? So the reason I'm pointing this out is because even though I'm going to lay out something very simple to you, when you do the simple thing is there as a guiding mechanism so you can use it to steer your car as it's going down the road. If you're aiming towards your goal of $10,000 a month and you're doing a good job and you're following the system, you still need to do this. You still need to make course corrections. You still need mentors. You still need to pop on the webinars. You still need to listen to audios. You still need to correct things along the way. That make sense to you? All right. So let me actually paint out for you how money is made, and then let me talk about the formula for creating quickly, and then I'm going to encourage you to make a decision. Right? This is how money is really. This is how wealth is created. The simplest way I've found to explain it. Okay. And then I'm going to build around some formulas to it. And I'm going to talk about where the blog fits into that. So if you haven't bought it, just buy it. It's $25. And if you don't like it, fine, cancel it. No big deal. It's the best technology that exists out there. I'm going to talk about that here in a second. But let me talk about the actual formula in order to create your results. And let me talk about how the money is made and then how to actually make it. Right? And if you follow this process, it actually makes a lot of sense. It's way easier to do than you can imagine. Now, here's what I want you to step into for a second. I want you to step into a realization that making money can happen differently than it's happened for you before. Okay? Now, I picked up on this philosophy a few years back, and I actually kind of invented this, but it's got rudiments of other philosophies that I ran into on creating money. Right? I started making a lot of money on the internet from selling stuff, and then I started to ask a different question. I started to ask the question, where does the money that I'm creating actually come from? Right? When I've received money into my life, where does it come from? Right? And I've only got a few reference experiences. I've sold things, right, my whole life, my whole adult life. When I was 18, I was selling vacuums, and then I was in Amway, and then I did network marketing for years, and I was a missionary, right, which is the same thing, selling religion. I've been convincing of things my entire adult life. That's what I've done kind of my whole life, is I've convinced people to buy stuff, right? So I've said, well, I've sold stuff. I've had jobs where the boss has given me a wage, right? And I've done other things where I've received money. And there's only one thing in common with all the ways of receiving money. It's that another person who had it gave that money to me in exchange for something that they found more valuable than the money. So if I had a job, right, I would go there and I would give my time, and I would give my energy, and I would give my skills at the job, and then the boss would give me in exchange for that money, right, because my skills and my time hopefully was worth more than the money they gave me. And if my skills weren't worth more, the boss would fire me, right? I got fired a lot because I'm bad at a lot of stuff, right? So somebody with money would give that money to me in the hopes of exchanging it for something that they find more valuable than the money. And in my life, right, not talking about economics, not talking about gold and silver, fiat currency, and all this crazy stuff, that is the only place that I have received money. And that's the only thing that's been common. So I've actually had a few choices, right? Number one is a job, and what's that? Somebody's essentially exchanging money for your time. Worst kind of thing ever if you've got the heart of an entrepreneur. Nothing wrong with being an employee, but if you've got the heart of an entrepreneur, that can be brutal for you because you can put in more work in the same amount of time and make the same amount of money, right? Unless you got a boss who appreciates you, recognizes you, you pay more, you produce more, you're kind of stuck, right? The other thing that you can do is you can be in something like sales, right? And what sales does is if you're a salesperson, you go out there and usually sell a product, and in exchange for selling the product to a customer, the customer gives the company money. The company cuts you a percentage of the money from the products that you sold, right? But it's still a linear-based income. In other words, you can only sell as much as the time you have and the systems that you can personally build. And most sales jobs don't have systems. They're involved with knocking on doors, making cold calls, and closing deals with the phone, right? The advantage is if you produce more, right, the company is going to give you a relatively larger amount of money so you can work harder, you can work more efficiently in the same amount of time, right? And you can create a larger income. But it's still one person, company, right, who's essentially giving you the money. Then here's the other option that I discovered, and this is when I really started to make a lot of money. The other option was realizing that I could have customers, right, who give me money. And here's the thing. The fulfillment of the product, the fulfillment of the service, whatever it is, to the customers does not need to be done by me. They just need to actually get the product. They just actually need to receive the login system. They just actually need to be able to log into the website. Here's the difference between this model and these other two models of making money in a business. And I really want you to wrap your head around this, because even though some of you are trying to do it already, you don't really understand the value in what you're doing, and you don't really understand how big it can get. Here's the difference. If you have a boss who gives you money in exchange for your time, you've got one person who's responsible for your entire income. Okay? If you're a salesperson, you've got one company, one system, you've got one product or something like that that's essentially responsible for your income. And really, that's you, right? If you get discouraged, if you get sick of making calls, if you get burnt out, your income goes down, right? Because you only have so much of an ability to produce. However, if you have customers who give you money, it's possible to have 200,000 customers, for example, in Empower Network, giving you money every month. Now, what's the great thing about having 200,000? It's still the system. Somebody is giving you money in exchange for something that they want, they find more valuable, right? Only the difference is, if like 20,000 of them leave that month, you've still got 90% of your income. So in other words, if you get discouraged and you can't promote as much, or if you need a time off, or if you need a break, or if some of your customers decide to leave or whatever, and you're doing your best to keep as many around as possible, it doesn't really affect your income that much, right? Unlike having like a normal profession, a normal job, you can have a lot of people who are giving you money in exchange for a product or service. And the more efficient your system is, the more people you can have giving you money every month, and the more of them you can keep around, the better of a lifestyle you have. And the beautiful thing is all the stuff in normal businesses and normal jobs, in normal organizations and normal professions that other people create, you don't have to do. Okay? Now, within this, in creating customers, this is going to be our focus. I'm going to teach you the model of creating an exponentially expanding customer base in your business, in your life, and for really making a lot of money fast. And if you really want to take advantage of this, click the button just below this video and just get in the blogging system. I'm going to show you how the rest of this fits in here in a second. Okay? This is the way that I can make all my money on the internet. And when I discovered this, it was like I became a magical genie. And I was able to rub myself and grant myself wishes, because I was able to do things that I had worked my entire life and never been able to do. And it wasn't a natural ability that was missing. It was having the right kind of vehicle and knowledge that was missing that prevented me from doing it. Okay? This is the way that you're going to create customers, right? It's through something called a funnel. And you guys have seen this a lot, like mapped up on the internet, and I know you probably barely see it online. But this is the way the funnel looks like on the internet. On the internet, first thing that you're going to need to do is you're going to need to have like a website, right? Hold on a second. I got to remember, you probably can't hear me that well, so I don't have a microphone when facing the board. So I'll write something and then I'll turn it back. And that website needs to have products to sell. Okay? You need to have something on the front end in order to sell it, right? Like for example, in Power Network, our front end product is the blogging system, right? And then you need to have upsells. And what should you upsell? You should upsell things that fit along with the core message of your business, that help your customers to get better and bigger results, and really are more advanced skill sets for people in different positions in business you really want to hire. And you should have upsells until the point where it becomes less efficient to continue to have them, right? There is a point of like, where you start losing money by selling too much stuff to people, and I've seen people do that all the time, where they burn out their customer base, or they burn out their list because they're coming from product launch, product launch, product launch, product launch, product launch, product launch. They're never really taking care of their people. And there is a point where this stops being effective, where you really need to take care of your people better and get more customers, not create more upsells and not create more of a mess in your life, right? For example, in Power Network, I'll lay out the upsells that we've got here in a second. And I'm going to show you actually, if you want to be an affiliate here, how to make money. And if you don't want to be an affiliate, you want to be a customer here, I'm going to paint out the same process. It's just that you're going to need to do a lot of this work yourself if you don't already have a company, you don't already have a system to be able to do this, right? But you need upsells, right? And what's going to happen is there's going to be ever diminishing percentages of people that fall into each one of the upsells, right? Then what you need to do is drive traffic to the site. That becomes your job, right? The magic is in having something that makes more money within the first upsell or two than the money you're spending on the traffic, right? Let me give you an example of how I've created my entire business in Power Network, okay? I have a core message in Power Network where I teach people to get 2 customers a day, right? If we have an affiliate in Power Network and they're not getting the results they want, the first thing that I look at is I say, how many customers to the blogging system are you bringing in the front end? Somebody comes in the front end and they pay $25 for that product, right? That generates a commission, obviously, $25 for one of our affiliates, right? And my first thing that I look at is what is your daily sales production in your business. And I have had a message for 4 years straight now since I've been on the internet where the core number you should be looking for as an affiliate selling really anything, right, is 2 new customers a day. Because, let me explain why. 2 new customers a day with a $25 blogging platform. Because if you're getting 2 new customers a day, right, I can guide and direct the entire rest of your business and help you literally create almost anything. If you don't have the production of 2 customers a day, it's very difficult to fix everything that you're doing in your business. You need to go and actually go through training, and you need to figure out how to generate more traffic. You need to do it truthfully on your own. But once somebody has some very minimal daily production numbers, you can mold that and guide that, and you can advance it almost exponentially with the way somebody's created an income in your life. Let me give you an example of somebody who started to do this. I told Justin Reggie to do this. He came down to my house. He saw how easy it was because I was just hanging out with him, right, for a few days. And we actually teach you how to do all this stuff in the products. And the interesting thing is when he came down to my house, I wouldn't actually even answer his questions. He'd ask me a question, and I'd say, you know, that product's in the Costa Rica Mastermind Intensive video 5. Go watch that. And then he'd go and he'd click on the video for the product. He'd watch the product he already bought. He'd say, oh, I got it, right? And I told Justin, you need to get 2 new customers a day. You know how fast we did that? About 1 month. Okay? That's how long it took him to do it because he was focused on doing it. Now, in making very small course corrections to Justin over the course of the next year and a half, he went from almost not being able to pay his rent to making $27,000 next month to where just a couple months ago he had his first month where he was actually close to $150,000. I don't know the exact number, but he's up there by making very tiny course corrections along the way. Because this is the step that's necessary to generate sufficient revenue on a daily basis in your business to reinvest into processing people and influencing things in order to make your business move faster. Does that make sense? When somebody does not have daily production in sales in their business, they're basically building a business off of like hope and prayer, right? They're hoping that they're going to bring in the customer that turns to an affiliate that brings in 10,000 people. They're hoping that they're going to, you know, get somebody who like buys their product that goes out there and like creates this empire without them doing anything. They're hoping they're going to sponsor like a Vic Strauss house or something, and that they could go hang out at the beach every day for the rest of their life. Well, Vic goes out there and does all the work, they keep all the money. They're not out there creating the business on their own. Let me actually give you an example of somebody that really learned this from me, and I'm not going to mention this person's name, but I was actually just talking to a gentleman in Power Network that a handful of years ago, he got involved in a business, it was a network marketing company, where he had sponsored like a handful of like really successful leaders by picking up the phone and just kind of pounding the leaders into the phone. Like he'd sponsored bunches of them, right? Well, what happened was they all came in because the deal was hot, right? And they blew up his income. And for the next 9 months straight, because the organization that he was in, so for 9 months, right, I believe it was, and he could correct me, right, his income went over $100,000 a month for 9 months straight, right? Well, what happened was those guys were the actual players, and how were they out there making the money and making him money? They were making money by bringing in daily sales numbers, and he made the money by getting the leadership, and then they went out there and they made the daily sales numbers, right? Well, what happened was one day they all decided to stop promoting. So his income essentially just dropped down to almost nothing, right? It's almost zero, because he wasn't creating the income by his own daily sales numbers, right? Now here's the difference. Both models work well, right? If you focus on creating the daily sales numbers, when a leader pops up in your organization, they're a blessing that adds to your income. They're not creating it. So I go out there and without any leadership in my organization, just from my daily production along with Dave Sharp and I, without any leadership at all in our organization, make over $100,000 a month following this process because we focus on making daily sales numbers. So when we have somebody like Vic Strashouse who gets in, when we have somebody like Tracy Walker who gets in, when we have somebody like Tony Rush who gets in, when we have somebody who gets in who's actually a leader and can actually move numbers and actually makes decisions, it dramatically expands the income, but our income is not reliant on those people being on board. Those people are a blessing. And here's the other part of having those people. They will stick around somebody who's out there producing sales. They will not stick around somebody who just gets them in one time. They won't stick around. If you want to keep leaders around, you got to lead by example and do what they need to do to build their income and then influence them and lift them up. So the core thing in your business when you're out there, now this is regardless really of what you're selling, and I'm going to focus here on what we do at Empower Network for the next bit as an affiliate. So I want to talk about that. We haven't really talked about it a lot during the launch. The core messages in here, what are your daily sales numbers and are they sufficient or do you need to work on that yet? And until this, it says at least 2 sales per day, I will not tell anybody to do anything different in their business other than learn how to optimize their traffic, learn how to get more leads, learn how to follow up those leads better, and learn to do it better, more efficiently, and more economically until they're producing the daily sales numbers they need where they've actually got people to work with in their business, because once you've got this, anything is possible. I can literally help you create any kind of income that you want if you can do this one piece. And the beautiful thing is about going out there and selling something that only costs 25 bucks is it's only 25 bucks, so it's really not that hard to sell. People buy things that are $25 all the time. When I was in network marketing years ago, I used to think about bringing in a new customer as this massive life-changing decision, right? It's a massive decision to go out there and to buy vitamins. It's a massive decision to join the business. It's like this huge, gigantic decision, right? And what I didn't realize was really it was like a $20 decision. $25 decision. And somebody would go to Walmart who was like saying, oh, I got to think about it, but they'd go to Walmart and buy 25 bucks of stuff. And we're talking about people who make minimum wage, right? They go to Walmart with a credit card and they're at the stand and they buy $25 between magazines and candy and energy drinks before they get out of the line in Walmart. A $25 decision is a small enough decision where you can just pull out your credit card and you can decide to do it. And I don't really care at this $25 decision whether or not people are going to decide to stick with it. Because I see this as really, they're getting in to see if this is a match for their outcome, their vision or not. And if it's a match for their outcome, their vision, then those people should stay in. And if it's not a match, and if they want to go out there and sell lotions and potions and stuff that you can't make them any money, or if they want to go out there and use crappy products elsewhere or whatever, that's fine. And if they want to get results in their business and they're really going to go out there and create change and they want to create big incomes, those are the people that stay in and those are the people that continue to buy the rest of the upsells, right? Here's the key to building a large amount of money online, though. The money is not in the products you sell on the front end. That can make you a living. The fortune is made on the products people buy on the back end, okay? What do people buy once they decide to get in? What do people continue to buy as they come to the events? What do people continue to buy as they get on the conference calls? What do people continue to buy as they're wanting to further their education, right? So in Empower Network, for example, we've got a blogging platform that's $25, right? We've got Inner Circle membership that's $100. These are monthly. We've got, you know, an affiliate fee if somebody wants to resell our stuff. And we've got one-time products after that, $500. We've got $1,000, and we've got $3,500 after that that people buy. And you say, wow, who spends money on all this stuff? Tons of people do, because people want to create their, you know, results in their business. And we have something in Power Network, and we're renaming it here, but for now we're calling it an all-in customer, right? Somebody who has all of our processes. Because each one of those things outline different benefits on things that you can buy and things that you can create results with in your business. I'm going to move the camera back over here real quick, just because I think that the sound's going to be better. And I'm going to talk for about 30 minutes about this, and then I'm going to get you guys to make some decisions and teach you what to do next. I know my hair looks crazy today. I had actually one of the most interesting days that I've had in like the last 3 years. One of these days, I will tell you guys about it, but today was like one of the coolest days that I've had ever in my life. It just was like a magical day. Had some really neat things happen. Didn't even get a chance to take a shower. My hair's all crazy, but I'm just like glowing from the inside. Right? So here's the essence of the formula, right? You need to have a vehicle. You need to have a system sell a vehicle, right? And then you need to have a strategy, and your strategy needs to be focused enough to head you in the right direction and flexible enough to make corrections along the way. Because if you're too rigid in your direction, this is what's going to happen. You have point A and you have point B, and if you're too rigid in your direction, you will not go in a straight line. And if you're too rigid, you're going to go like this. You're not going to get to your outcome, which is over here. You need a flexible enough strategy that's loose enough to make course corrections, but it needs to be focused enough to direct your energy. And if you don't have that, you will not get here. Like getting in a car and driving down the road, right? And holding your arms like this, focused in a straight line. The car will not get here. The car will go this way, or it will go that way eventually. You need to be able to make course corrections along the way, realizing that it's okay when you do make mistakes, right? So what's the formula here at Empower Network, for those of you who are in, those of you who are affiliates, those of you who are our best customers, right? The process is, number one, get in. Number two, be really clear. Number three, believe you can do it and realize that really all it takes for you to get to a new level is to make a new decision. And realize there's bigger decisions to make. There's bigger outcomes to create. There's things that you need to learn. There's things that you're needing to change along the way, right? Realize that you're going to need to change things along the way. What you really need, though, is you need commitment to your future. You need to make a decision to educate yourself to get the skills that you need to really make the money that you want in your business, right? Sometimes we throw these numbers around, and I don't want anybody to make any mistakes. Obviously, not everybody, goes from, like Justin, almost broke to making $150,000 a month. That's an extraordinary example. We've got all sorts of examples in between there, and we've got examples that are actually bigger. You can see the earnings disclosure on every page of the site here, right? Because we report averages. What I'm painting out is I'm painting out a picture of what's possible when you learn the skills that you need to learn in your business. So what we did in Empower Network, and this is essentially how we've created our entire company, is we asked ourselves, what do people who want different things in life need to have in order to build that business they want? What skills do they need? What resources do they need? What tools do they need? What training do they need? What do they, hold on a second, I'm going to grab some coffee here. What do they need, and what do they not need? And we built our whole product message around that. There are people here who want to get a big result. There are people here who don't want a big result. There are people here who want an average result. There are people here who want to kind of be where they are, but be a little more free. And there are people here who want to make, you know, four-figure income every month. Multiple four-figure income is big for a lot of people. And there's people here who want to create six-figure income. There's people here who want to create multiple six-figure incomes. There's people here who want to create seven-figure incomes. And we've got customers and affiliates who want to do that. So what we've done is we've created, we have an infrastructure of training that's designed to help you get the results that you want in your business, in your life. And we do that through the products that we have available once you become a customer of Power Network. And there's a handful of things that I'm actually going to encourage you guys to just take action and buy. And I've got a special encouragement for a handful of you on this webinar who really want to step up and who really want to make a decision to do something different. Obviously, all of you guys are going to get in and buy the blog platform. You don't really need a lot of selling. It's $25, right? Get in, buy it, and start using it. And you'll see how much better it is than everything out there. It's cheaper, it's better, it's faster, it's more efficient. It's a $3 million piece of technology, and you get it for $25 a month. It is the cheapest and best at the same time that exists out there in specifically what we're doing. Just buy it. Just click the link and buy it. Obviously, you're going to do that. Now, in the live feed area, though, you've got some other links for other products that you can buy, other things that you can get educated on. And those things are important for who I'm about to describe here in a second. But I want to talk about one in particular, and then I want to talk about some things everybody here should make a decision on tonight, right? On really how far you want to take your education and how far you want to take your future. We're going to be doing a special series that's going to be a 4 weeks series, and I don't actually have the dates in front of me, but I believe it is on the page, where Dave Sharp and myself and a handful of leaders in Power are going to spend 4 weeks walking you through how to create a fast result in a month in your business. When you buy that product, it's $297. It's going to be the first upsell if you're just buying now, but if you actually log in, it's called Blog Beast Academy. It's over on the left-hand side. We're going to show you how to use the blogging platform to get the results that you want in your business fast. I want to talk about this product and talk about why you should buy it here for a second and why you should buy it now, because the price of that thing is going to go up here in a few days. Okay. Hold on a second, losing my voice. I talked about this a little bit last night, but let me talk about what I believe is the most important skill if you're going to do what we do. If you want to be somebody who builds a big following online, if you want to be somebody who builds a big following offline, really, a following is a following. And when you're building a business, right, you need to create a following. You need to learn how to get people to follow you. If you're on Twitter, right, what do? You get people to follow you, right? On Facebook, if you've got a fan page, people can like you and they can follow you. If you're in network marketing, what's your goal? Your goal is to build a following. Your goal is not just to build a list. Your goal is to get people around you who you have the ability to influence, who you have the ability to lead. Your goal is to build a following, right? You need to learn how to build a following. You need to learn how to influence people. It is the highest paid skill that exists in the world, because when you can surround yourself with people that are good, you can do anything. And when I say anything, there's no limitations to that, right? There isn't. If you want to build a following, right, there are certain specific skills to be able to do that that are valuable. And who am I to be able to teach those skills? Well, I'm one of a handful of people that together, in just in the last 2 years, have built the largest affiliate company of any kind that exists around our niche by like 5 or 10 times. More like 10 times, actually, is the next close second. It's actually more like closer to 20. Probably about how big they are now, because they've gone down. We'll be the second biggest one. We're like 20 times the size, and we're still growing real fast. A couple of ex-homeless guys, right? And how did we really do that? Well, we did that by learning how to get people to make decisions, to get people to stick with those decisions, and to get people to create internal changes that they need to create a bigger result in their life and their business. That's how we did it. There is a handful of skills that are really important for creating that we have mastered, right, on influence. And in addition to the 4 webinar series, you guys are going to be getting as a special offer that is not going to be there in a handful of months, 2 additional products called Storytelling Secrets and Hypnotic Language. And those 2 products by themselves, people had to pay over $5,000 just to get in the room to learn those skills. And every single one of them told us it was worth more than $10,000. It was the most valuable training they had ever been through. In fact, Mike Hobbs went there. He went there making, like, I believe he said, a little over $30,000 a month. And I just actually checked with him. I was on stage with him in Dallas, and now he's over. Last month he made over. I think he made $77,000. Is what he made last month, just a few months after the training. Those 2 products by themselves are worth thousands of dollars, and we're going to remove those things from that packages. You're assuming the prices going up. The webinars by themselves are worth more than $297, and we have video hosting built into that, so you can use all the media services and stuff that we have here at Power Network, right? However, the real valuable thing is we are going to take you by the hand, step by step, and walk with you towards your outcome, okay? And how to achieve that here, fast. We're going to do it with you over the next 4 weeks as soon as the launch ends, right? And I have one desire for you. My desire is that you live your dream now. My desire is that you step into a new and beautiful future. My desire is that you create something magical in your life and powerful. My desire is that you realize now that you can do anything and that you achieve the dream that is in your heart. My desire is to serve you and to help you walk into a new beautiful future. So I want you to buy that product now, right? And this is my real kind of call to action to you guys who are watching this. Is what? Got a little bit of a cough going the last day or two. Here's what I really want to encourage. I want to encourage you to really be a student of influence, to be a student of marketing, to be a student of traffic generation, to be a student of surrounding yourself with amazing people. And in being a student, to be a student while you're taking action at the same time, right? While you're headed towards your goal, making course corrections along the way. And if you're really serious about your future here at the Power Network, okay, and you really want to create a result quickly, I'm going to encourage you to make a decision and get all in by that we've got. We've got a little over, I think, $5,000 worth of stuff. And I'm encouraging you to do that now. Now, whether you're building here, whether you're building something else, it doesn't matter. You take the same things and apply them towards what you're building. There's just easier and faster ways, right? I'm going to encourage you, though, to buy all of them when you get in. And it's not just buy them. I'm going to encourage you to go through them and to take your education seriously, right? To take your education seriously, to take your profession that you've chosen to live by seriously. Look, just because I dress funky and I don't really look professional doesn't mean I'm not a master of my profession, right? Because my profession is influencing people in a different and a unique way, right? This is my profession. My profession is influence. It is inspiration. It is lifting people up. It is speaking life into people, right? And all these tools and these technology platforms, the blogging system, the ability to build viral networks, I talked about a lot of this stuff yesterday. All of this stuff is tools of creating following and influencing that following, right? Really, though, to really take your game to the next level, you need to be influential. And I look at it like this. I remember being in a hotel room with a guy back in 2003, 2004. This guy was making an amount of money that was completely unrelatable to me. Okay, some of you met somebody like that. Some of you are seeing me and it's unrelatable to you how much I make. Some of you wonder how much I make. You can guess. But I met this guy who was unrelatable amount of money. I mean, he had a private jet. He lived in a mansion. He had tons of jet skis. All this stuff was paid for with cash. He'd actually flown to do this meeting. It was like an hour and a half, and he didn't even make that from the meeting. He wasn't selling anything. He was just there to teach, and then he flew home. The flight cost him like 10 grand or something like that, and he just spent it so he could go home that night and hang out with his wife. And I was in awe of how influential this guy was. I was in awe as I stood around and listened to him, right? And listened to how he communicated, listening to how he spoke, listening to how he spoke inspiration to people. I was fascinated by it, and I just could not take my time. I had to pay attention to this guy and just do whatever he said to do. And I remember I was a little discouraged, and I walked up to him late in the hotel room, and I started talking, and he immediately cut me off, said stop. And I was like, okay. Do you really want to know what to do because you got to stop doing what you're doing? I said, yeah. And this guy said something, and I'll never forget what he said. He said, I want you to do one thing and promise me that you're going to do this thing. And if you promise me you're going to do this thing, I promise you, you will not know how powerful, you cannot know how powerful you'll be 10 years from now. It may take 10 years. Says you can't know. Said, sure, shoot. Said, are you going to do it? Will you promise me to do it no matter what I tell you to do? Will you promise me to do it no matter what I tell you to do? My question for you tonight. Will you promise me to do it no matter what I tell you to do? Right? And I was a little nervous, but, you know, this guy had a private jet, and I at the time had a Ford Escort, so it was a good deal. And I said, sure. Right? He said, David, you need to listen to audios from people that make more money than you, from people that can do things you can't do, in your downtime, all the time, whenever you're driving, whenever you're working out, permanently. And you need to take your education seriously. I'm not talking about school. He says, I didn't go to school. He says, I'm talking about learning what people have to say who make more money than you make in the profession you choose to be in. And if this is it, then that's like me and some other people, he said. Right? And you need to surround yourself with education from people that are creating not what you think you want to do. You need to listen to people who are actually creating the result that you want to create in your life. And you need to do what they tell you to do, no matter what it is, as long as it's honest, as long as it's ethical, and as long as it upholds your values. You need to surround yourself with people who are better than you. And you need to do what they tell you to do. And I sat there and I said, so what's next? And he says, you better be playing audios on the way home. And if I ever see you again and you're not doing it, I won't ever talk to you. And I said, holy crap. Right? It was one of the reasons why, in my opinion, the most important education product we've got in Power Network is the Inner Circle. Because it's an audio education membership, right? Where you can, right on your smartphone, you've got a mobile app. You can listen to inspirational audios, have it played in your car, plug your phone into your car through Bluetooth or whatever, and you can constantly be injecting information into your mind from people who know what you want to know, are going where you want to go, are doing what you want to do, and key, are better at doing it than you are right now. Because by surrounding yourself with inspirational personalities all the time, you allow your mind to rewire unconsciously. That's a $100 a month product that we've got. If you guys aren't familiar with Empower Network, it's called the Inner Circle, right? I believe it's the most important education product we've got because it's ongoing and we add to it all the time. That's why it's our monthly membership product that we've got. That product has changed people's lives all around the world, right? And then we've got stuff that does other things here at Empower Network to help you in different aspects and focused parts of your business, right? Let me give you an example. We have a product here called the Costa Rica Mastermind Intensive, and that product is what created our entire company, right? Because we actually recorded that video course before we launched the company, and that product, right, that you're going to see when you buy that product now is $500, right? It's like 2-3 years old or something like that. Well, no, whenever we started Empower Network, but that is the information, the philosophies, and the skill sets that created a company that is doing right now close to $2 million a week in sales, start by 2 ex-homeless guys, right? That product is really, truthfully, how we did this, right? How we did this. And some of you have bought that and you haven't actually gone through it. And I've looked in you the eyes and I've told you in events to go through it. And some of you are in other businesses and you haven't gone through it yet. And that product created a team of 200,000 people in 2 years from a guy who doesn't get phone calls, right? Normally in a direct sales company, you've got a guy with 200,000 people in their team. Do you have any idea? Do you have any clue at all, like how many phone calls they get? Their phone rings from the time they wake up until the time they go to sleep at 4 in the morning, and then they wake up at 8 in the morning, and they take phone calls from 8 in the morning until 4 in the morning, 7 nights a week. That's what they normally do. That product, the Costa Rica Mastermind Intensive, is the background information on how Dave Sharp and I, 2 ex-homeless guys, got together with 30 people in a hotel room with a whiteboard that was like placed on a chair and drew out a plan and turned that group of 30 people into 200,000 people in 2 years. That product tells you how we did it before we actually did it is the background of that product. How much is that worth? That is worth a lot of money. If I'd had access to that information when I talked to that guy in that hotel room, it would not have taken me 10 years to succeed in my business the way that I've succeeded. I would have been able to do it in about 4 or 5, right, from the time that I saw that product. That's how valuable it is. It's a one-time payment of $500. You get access to it for permanent, right? It's like 20 hours of stuff. It's amazing, right? That's what that is, that $500 product. The $1,000 product we've got, funny background story on that, but that's one we're constantly actually adding to. That is the strategy product, you know. That is the piece on how to create an organization through leadership skills, through paid traffic, through a combination of upselling skills, through email follow-up. You know, just give you an example of one thing in that product that I just learned a ton from, right? Because I'm still studying and learning. Folks, I don't know everything, right? I'm sitting there on these webinars with Aaron Rashkin, and he opened up his email system and showed you what he does with his autoresponders. And it's something people pay $1,000 just to go hang out at his house and learn for 3 days. And he got on these webinars, not a recording. He got on live and walked through how he converts sales like a mofo, right? Automatically, without picking up the phone, all through email, using the same pages that everybody else who's an affiliate uses. And this is a guy who's been a 7-figure earner for a long time on the internet and just continues to succeed and continues to make money. Just that part of the series alone, which is like 2 or 3 webinars in the middle of like 25 or 30 or something, those alone to me were worth $5,000. That product's only $1,000. And if you're an affiliate and you sell one of them, you make $1,000, right? So the question is do you want to know what's in the product? Because if you know what's in it and are getting value from it, it's a lot easier to sell it. Because if somebody calls you and they have a question, one of your customers calls you and they have a question, you have 2 choices if you do pick up phone calls, right? Because sometimes you're in the early phase of your business where you do that. If somebody calls you, well, what are your options? You could either try to explain it to them, which is going to take a long time and create problems for you. I'm going to tell you what those problems are in a second. Or you could say, I want you to log in now to Empower Network. I want you to click on the 15K formula and watch the webinars by Aaron Rashkin, where he explains how he has made millions of dollars by email, by being smart with the way he writes copy and being smart with the way he sets up his campaigns. A 7-figure earner opens up his email live in front of you, and you can learn that question there. Do you have the 15K formula? And if they say, no, I don't have the 15K formula, you can say, well, I want you to log in and tell me when you're there. And they say, okay. And you say, go ahead and click that button. It says the 15K formula. Fill out the order form. And go ahead and tell me when we've hit the submit button. And people will just literally do it on the spot. And I have been amazed at how much commissions people have thrown away by not telling their customers to go learn information from the products. They try to explain the answers to people. Well, here's what happens if you look at building your business. So we're talking about leadership skills tonight, and probably getting into more than I should on a webinar like this that's public. But I want to teach you guys some valuable things who are buying the products, right? Who are buying our system, who want to know, hey, what am I going to actually learn when I get back here and I get involved with this group of people, right? This is what people generally tend to do, is they've got a product that has the answers to the questions. Those of you who've heard of Power anyways, right? And then somebody calls and they ask them a question, they email and ask them a question, and they go blah, 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 blah. And as they're doing this, if you can just imagine a commission meter, right? This being a lot of commissions and this being like nothing, they go blah, 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 blah. And they talk themselves out of thousands of dollars in commissions. It's like they're throwing commissions away. It's like they're taking $1,000 and just throwing it into the swimming pool and allowing it to like burn up by the force of the sun. Or it's like they're going to the bathroom and just taking rolls of $100 bills and wiping their butt with that rather than toilet paper, right? That's what they're doing, right? Because there's a better way. And there's several reasons why it's better. Number one, because if you realize that people will take the information more seriously if they pay, they'll actually do it if they pay, right? They'll actually do it if they pay, right? That means that you can actually help them more and earn a commission at the same time by selling it to them. And you got to know what's in it in order to do that if you're an affiliate, right? You can actually earn more money by selling it to them, okay? By getting out of the way, and it takes you way less time because now you've saved yourself an hour webinar with every single person you bring in. So somebody asks you how to do something, you just lead them to the video that shows them how to do that. All of a sudden, you don't have to spend any time on the phone. They get helped more, they take it more seriously, and rather than a free hour-long phone call, you made $1,000 in a 10-minute phone call. It is a completely superior way to train your customers and your affiliates, depending on what you guys are doing. Some of you are selling other products and services. Some of you are selling in Power Network, and whatever it is that you're selling, you can do this with whatever you're selling. It's a completely superior strategy. It saves you time, it saves you energy, it saves you money by systematizing your training. So if somebody calls me up and they've got a funk in their mind, I do not work through the funk in their mind because I know hypnosis, and I am not here to be a therapist. That's not my goal, right? There are people who are therapists you can send people to. So if I'm going to help people with their mindset, well, how am I going to do that? Somebody's going to call me up there and say, Dave, I'm struggling with this mindset. And I say, stop. Can I tell you a story? And they say, yeah. Say a few years ago, 10, I was in a hotel room with a guy who had a private jet. And I was doing what you're doing right now. Really interesting that we were actually doing the same exact thing. I was sitting there, and I started blabbering about nothing. And he said, stop. Dave, are you willing to do whatever it takes? Yeah. If I tell you what to do, will you do it no matter what it is? I said, yeah. He says, I will never tell you anything that's not in the best interest of your business. And I will always tell you only things that I've done. Is that fair? I said, yeah. That's something I can listen to. I will always only tell you things that are in the best interest of your business. And I will always only teach things that I've personally done. And everything else I'll refer to other people's teaching for me. Because if I hadn't done it, I can teach it. It's just the way I am. I said, yeah, okay. He said, listen to audio every day in your downtime. And I started to do it. And funny enough, he said 10 years later I want to know the person I I'd be, but I started doing it then. I started a lot, and now I'm the leader of a team that brings in more than twice the people every day as his team brings in every day. Only the difference is he's been doing it for like 40 years. And Power Network is only 2 years old. So what he told me actually worked better for me than it did for him, right? So it worked, right? That's the way that I'm going to answer the question. I'm not going to sit there and teach somebody something that they can learn by product. Hold on, I got to plug my computer because it's running out of batteries here. Great way to end a webinar, by the way. When you run out of batteries, you just have to get everybody off, right? If somebody asks a question, they say, David, how do I build a high-level organization, build duplication systems, inspire people, lift them up, and to build it in a way where I don't get trapped in my business? Number one, I would say, do what I just told you to do, right? Because if you're getting 2 people a day, and then you're doing what I just told you to do, that's like 80% of why your income's not growing as fast as it is. Because if you are managing everyone and you're teaching everybody everything, number one, you don't have the energy or the time or the creativity free to go get more customers, which is really what's going to increase your income. But number two, you're not really upselling your customers because you have to be with everyone and you're doing it for free, right? And you don't have time to do this, guys. You just don't have time, right? You've got to learn to manage your energy and to do things that are going to make you money. So I'd say number one, do what I just told you to do. But here's what I really tell you. I say, are you really serious about that? And that's my question for you. Is, are you really serious about building a high-level organization? Are you really serious, no matter what you're in, taking your game to a new level? Are you really serious about learning how to cast a massive future out there in the world? Are you really serious about really learning to build a real leadership-based organization? Are you really serious, or are you just fooling around? Right? Or are you just fooling around? And if somebody's not serious, I ain't going to mess around with even telling them what to do. Why? Because they're not going to do it anyways. Right? But if they're serious, what I'm going to tell them is, you have the master's course? And if they say no, I'll say, well, log into the Power Network, tell them you're logged in. And they say, okay, I'm logged in. I'll say, you see the button that says master's course, activate now. The green button. You say, yeah. You say, go ahead and click that green button. Fill the form in, and place your order for the master's course now. Right? And right now. Why? Because that is the philosophy set, okay, that will allow you to create an organization that will load in your own mind when you do it. Right? That's what allows you to lead people without being there all the time. That's what's going to allow you to build systems, not to do what the company wants, but to do what you want. That's the high-level skill. The high-level philosophies for somebody that really wants to be a leader. The question is, do you really want to be a leader? Right? Do you really want to be? Some people say they want to be, but there's a difference. It's like, do you really want to be a leader? Do you really want to be a leader? Right? Are you really willing to make a decision and really willing to create a future? If the answer is no, that's okay because you're valuable too. Just realize the answer is no, right? That you're here to go make a few thousand a month or go out there and create some level of result in your business. But again, if you're an affiliate with Power, the master's course generates a $3,000 commission, right? In the comp plan. And if you don't have it, you are not going to sell a lot of it. But there's a big difference, guys. And it's not because you can't sell it if you don't have it, you can. It's because you're not going to know what's in it. And how can you sell something when you don't really know why you want to buy it? Right? You need to buy the products that are going to that you're going to be offering in the marketplace. It's not because you're required to buy it. Look, when I got involved in my business on the internet, I learned this the hard way. I know in sales or in marketing, it is very important if you're an ethical person to personally use products you're selling, right? And the best people that have ever explained to me were the Amway guys. And not talking about the Amway Corporation, just to be clear for a legal disclaimer, this is just the organizations the team guys are part of. And they explained it like this. They explained it like, it's like if you're selling cars, and you're on a lot, and you own the car dealership, and you own a Ford dealership. And I walk in the dealership, and I say, I want to buy a car. It says, well, what kind of car do you want? And you look him in the eye and you say, I want the kind you got. But the owner of the Ford dealership is driving a Mercedes-Benz, right? Well, he's not using his own product. You know what I'm saying? He's not using his own product. And because he's not using his own product, his honest recommendation, it's not honest. He's not using his own product, right? And I heard that, and that just made tons of sense to me. Because I said, okay, if I'm going to recommend a vitamin to people, and I'm not even willing to take the vitamin myself, right? How can I ethically recommend that to people? You know, I have people all the time who call up and ask for stuff for free or tell them network if they can somehow find a way to get a hold of me, which is actually pretty rare. Or they call the company, they say, I'm a big deal, I want free stuff. And yeah, we tell them, no, we don't give free stuff. We don't give special placements to leaders to anything. I said, because if you, the leader, the person who has access to resources, who doesn't even need to stretch, aren't willing to pull your credit card out now and decide to buy, what about a person in your organization who really has to stretch? How can you look them in the eye? I'll tell you how I do it. Because whatever I tell people to invest in their business, I invest in that. Whatever time I tell people to put in their business, I invest in that. Whatever effort I tell people to put into their business, I put in more effort. Whatever heart I tell people to put in their business, I put in more heart. Whatever I tell people to do, I personally do that or more. And I will not violate that. I will stick with telling people to do what I do. Because I'm going to lead by example, right? That's just who I am. So for me, oh, you better believe, I will not tell anyone to buy something that I am not willing to buy and that I haven't used personally. And it doesn't matter if it's soap, vitamins, it doesn't matter if it's in that nature, another niche, it doesn't matter if it's in Power Network or if it's selling cars or whatever it is. I will not personally, on my own values, recommend a product for somebody to buy that I am not willing to buy myself because it's against my internal ethical clock to do that. I have to be honest with people, right? So for me, that's important. And that's from a sales perspective. But from a value perspective, you know, this is what, like, I look at it as, you know, we are the enemy of everyone in direct sales. And it's not because we're better. It's because the way we build a business is superior, right? Rather than doing a hotel meeting, we pop on a live stream, and we've got, you know, 10,000 people on here. I actually don't even know how many comments there are on this thing, right? We just have people just get on and just make decisions and buy stuff. I have recruited more people into direct sales than anybody that I know, than anyone, right? And I do it getting no phone calls, as I demonstrated earlier today. None, right? And everyone I know with large organizations in network marketing who is not a part of my team or learned from me, all of them are slammed to death from the time they wake up to the time they go to sleep. With less big teams. They do that when they have 3,000 people in their team. Well, the problem is there's a limit to your ability to pick up the phone. Therefore, it's not a good part of the system to make a system reliant on you picking up the phone for everyone that joins your team. You can do it with the people that personally sponsor, whatever, right? But it's not a scalable strategy, right? We teach you that in the Masters course. How many network marketers could that be sold to? How many direct sales professionals could that be sold to? Oh, everyone, right? That's worth, to me, that would have saved me 10 years. Because the second I learned to tap into my skill set and to do it in a way that's congruent with who I am, it's like my income shot up like this, right? And that's one of the reasons you should buy now, right? Now, the thing is that I want you to do, though, is whatever it is that you want to do in your business, I want you to make a commitment to your outcome, which is your future. It doesn't matter which products you buy, it doesn't matter whether you're affiliated or not. It only matters if that's congruent to where you're going. So my question is what do you want? What do you want? You know, when I first moved down to Costa Rica, I was living on the beach, which, by the way, I've never lived on the beach again. One of those hilarious things that everybody dreams about, they don't realize how hot it is at the beach, right? Now I live in the mountains all the time. That's an hour drive away from the beach. You know, I remember, though, when I first moved there, this is before I got sick of the heat, I walked out on the beach, my toes in the hot sand in the morning time. I was watching the waves roll in from the sea, the sun rising over the ocean, birds chirping in the background, wind blowing on my face, little particles of sand on it. I remember looking out in a trance, saying, I am so happy that I just made a decision to just pull out my credit card, not just buy, but to stick with my vision. To make a decision to stick with it. To make a decision to fight another day. To make a decision to write another blog post. To make a decision to fight and move on. To make a decision to lift up the people around me. To lift up the hearts and the souls and the minds of the people around me. To lift them up from the inside. To make a decision to reach out into the world with my heart, my soul, my spirit, and to lift you up in a new way. Aren't I glad I made a decision? And now I'm looking out over the city, and this is really pretty. Here, let me show you. This is kind of like, I kind of like this stuff now. I lived at the beach forever, and this is like a new thing that I enjoy. I've got this 4-story house, and I'm looking out over the city. And as I'm doing the live stream, as I'm talking, and here's what I see when I look out at that city, and here's why I like it, is because every single one of those lights, it's a part of a household, a building, a lamp on the road with cars going by, back and forth, on the way to and from work, people who are struggling, people who are trying, people who need something more, people who have a dream, people who matter, people who are important to me. And I look out over that city, Escazú, I don't know where you are in the world, and I see that there's somebody in that city that one day I will help create a team of several 100,000 people in 2 years. I see that there's somebody in that city who's on their computer right now. They're looking for a better way. I see that there's somebody in that city who wants something more and wants something greater in life, who just needs somebody to lead them and guide them. And I see that there's somebody in that city underneath one of those lights out there who's got a heart and a soul for their vision, who's got a heart and a soul for the future, who's ready to do things now in a new way. And there's a light above your home and in your neighborhood, in front of your computer, that's pulsing. Maybe the buy button is throbbing beneath the video. And there you are, leaning in, leaning back, thinking about the future. And what I realize now, looking out over those lights in the city, is that there's nobody in the world who matters any more than you. Because you matter. And your vision matters. And Empower Network is called Empower Network not because it's a fancy name. Empower Network is called Empower Network because it's a company with a heart for the people. It's a company that loves you. It's a company that's doing its best, and then more. It's a company that strives for a new and a beautiful future. It's a company that's investing into your future, that just invested $3 million into a blogging platform that we sell, and we give 100% commissions away to our sales force somewhere in the comp line. It's a company that is doing things, realizing that there's somebody out there now who the only reason why they're not where I am today, because they were in front of the computer 4 years ago. They went through the same training I went through. The only reason they're not where I am today is because they didn't make a decision now, 4 years ago. Now they're doing it tonight. And that's the beauty. And as you think about that, and you think about all the people in the world going back and forth, what's the formula? The formula is make a decision. Make a decision. Make a decision to get all in. Make a decision to buy. Make a decision to really go for your dreams, right? Now, I always like to be clear because, I'm not into this hardcore boiler room stuff. I've learned it, and I prefer to tell people to not buy if it's not right for them. To buy because they're making a decision. To buy because they know that it's the right thing to do. To buy because they want the product. To buy because they want to keep it. To buy because they're actually going to apply it. To buy because they want something that's more. To buy because they're taking it as not a product purchase. They're not taking it as an info course. They're taking it as education for a future. To buy because they want the best global platforms that exist out there. To buy now because they know it's time. And if that's not you, then don't buy it. No big deal. Right? So I look at it like this. There's two paths you can go down. It's like you're at a fork in the road sometimes when you're making a decision. One path is, it's like, do I not get all in or do I get all in? One path is, one decision is, do I buy or do I not buy? Right? And I want to tell you a story about a bear in a cage. This used to be one of my favorite stories. I used to tell it on every webinar I had built into my slides. I just think that it's just a great story. There's a bear in a cage, and the cage was, 10 feet long, 10 feet wide. It was taken out of the wild. And when you take a bear out of the wild, it's kind of like when you take a kid and you put him in school. They kind of like to look this all the time. The bear just freaking goes crazy. This bear was running around in Montana in trash cans, and they needed to, either put it down or put it into zoo. So they put it into a cage, and the bear goes crazy for a little while because it's trapped and it's always been free. And it slams its fists against everything for weeks, right? Well, after a while, after beating his face against the bars and beating its claws against them, it stops because its hands start to hurt and realizes the cage is stronger than the bear, right? And just starts to pace angrily back and forth. But every day at 10 o'clock in the morning, the zookeeper comes up and slides meat to the edge of the cage, and the bear devours it at first, and then paces angrily back and forth. But then after a while, realizes the cage isn't going anywhere, starts gaining a little weight, starts sitting there a little more, getting a little bit more lackadaisical with life, right? Like a lot of us who had dreams, but then went into a corporation and just got beaten down. And now we're just kind of sitting there waiting, like the bear, for 10 o'clock to come, for the paycheck to come, for the money to come to make the car payment, for just enough money to pay for the house. And then the bear just sits down and waits. Later, and the eyes glaze over. And then the zookeeper comes and pushes the meat. Interesting thing happens one day is, the zookeeper says, that bear's just laying there all day. I wonder what would happen if we took off the cage. So they debate about it for a little while, and most of the people are nervous. And the zookeeper's like, I'm pretty confident in this. They said that bear used to be crazy. He'd eat you, right? He was in the wild. He's angry he's in that cage, man. He's angry he's in that mediocre existence. He's angry that he's not stepping up to his goals in his future. He's angry that he's not living his dreams, isn't he? Isn't he angry? So they take the cage off. The bear just lays there, doesn't move. Next day, zookeeper comes out, pushes the meat just 10 feet away, just outside of arm's reach of where the edge of the cage had been. Bear walks up, walks 10 feet over, and stares, waiting. So the question is, do you still have a cage in your mind? Because like the bear, I've removed the real cage. And you have a decision. The decision is, what are you going to do with your future? Whether it's here, whether it's there, it's only relative importance. Are you going to make a decision? Right? Are you going to keep getting the results that you've gotten? Are you going to keep laying down, waiting for the paycheck, waiting for the home meetings to start working, waiting for, you know, your website to finally function the way that you want? Or are you going to make a decision to just by now realize that you've got everything inside of you that you need to succeed, and it's just up to you. It's just up to you. Right? It's time to stop smashing your paws against the wall, realizing that that cage is there from the constructs of another human being, not from your dream. And to realize, like the child in the school looking at Neo, do you really want to know the secret? There is no spoon. So you're really not bending the spoon. You're just bending what's inside by making a new decision. How do you really inspire people? Stories, languaging, intentions, and heart. When you got a heart for people, you can do anything. Are you going to make a decision? Are you going to make a decision? The blue pill, the red pill, removing the cage? Or are you going to wait there, licking your lips, waiting for somebody to bring you the next paycheck? Not realizing there is no spoon, Neo. Because there's somebody watching this webinar, and you never met me until now, and you've already changed. There's somebody watching this webinar who tonight realized this is simpler than I thought. There's somebody watching this webinar who just decided to buy the BlogBees platform now by clicking the button below this video. There's somebody watching this hangout, and your life just changed because you decided to take the other pill. There's somebody watching this now, and here's what I can tell you. You won't know how far the rabbit hole goes in your own vision until you step into your future by taking massive action. And there's somebody on this webinar now who just decided to dream again, and you're shaking, and you're nervous, and you're relaxed at the same time, pulling your credit card out, leaning forward, and typing in your information on your screen as you continue to watch. There's somebody on this webinar now who decided to get all in, and there's somebody on here. You're all in, but you just made a connect. My question is, which one are you? 2002, I'm pacing back and forth and back of the balcony with 15,000 people. Little fat, gray-haired guy named Bill Briggs pacing back and forth on the stage. And I looked at that man and I said, somehow, some way, someday, I'm going to be on that stage. Here I am now, on a bigger stage, without even leaving the house. Just coming back from an event with thousands cheering, because I made a decision that I am going to live my dream, that I'm going to go to the beach as a little girl, that I'm going to be able to look out over the city, that I'm going to be able to inspire people, and just popped an audio in every day by someone who's great. Because I decided to buy in front of the computer. It's like the background was warping as the comments were piling in, and I just pulled out my credit card and decided to buy. Because I made a decision, right? Because I made a decision to get in, not with my credit card only, also with my heart, and to stick with it. Because this is about service, about serving people, about giving value, about giving. Life is about giving. How much can you give to the world? How much should you give? As much as you can. As much as you can. Then more. Right? Then more. Because joy in life comes from giving. Joy. How do you get money? You give more value to the money you're getting. How do you create relationships? You give more to the relationships than you're receiving. How do you create a business? You give more to the business than the business is giving you. How do you become $1 million a year earner? You give $1 million a year of value. You make $1 million a year, right? Giving is receiving. It is. As long as you're not doing it for that. You're doing it to give value. Realizing that you're here and we're giving value to you as you're pulling out your credit card and deciding now to buy.